Fact is, I don't know how to love you. Excuses abound. Mom passed when I was young. Daddy wasn't around. I grew up in chaos. What do you expect? I have the weight of the world on my back, baby, and I'm covered up to my neck in debt. Fact is, we don't know how to love you. We've seen very few real relationships in our whole lives. Instead, we've seen liars, cheaters, and beaters, husbands running around on their wives. So please don't blame us if we're not the man of your dreams. And please, please don't blame us if everything about us is not what it seems. Fact is, we don't know how to love you. Our nature is as soft as brick kisses on lips. We are as delicate as thorn bushes. Miss. Our love is hit or miss. Fact is, we don't know how to love you. So the topic of this episode is, why is it so hard to find a good man? Why is it so hard to find a good man? That word that I read to you at the beginning of the video is a poem I wrote many, many years ago. But it still is a poem that we can dissect, and it's going to help as I make it through this video to talk about the challenges we have as men that stop us from loving a woman. First and foremost, I think the biggest reason is we don't see the example, right? So it's hard to repeat what we don't see. And because as men, especially in black communities, we're growing up without men in the home. Most of the men that I grew up around, or at that time they were young men, they were raised by women, grandma, aunt, mother, of course. But there may have been just one man that I can think of, one father in the home, at least to my recollection. But that happens throughout the entire country, right? And it happens throughout the entire world. So when we don't have examples, what do we do as men or as young men? We latch on to examples outside of the home. Is what we see in the streets, is what we listen to in the music. It's what we see on the social media and the television programming. This is what shapes us and molds us as young men into full adult grown men. And so if we don't see men in healthy relationships, we see the men that are lying, we see the men that are cheating, we see the men that are running around and not owning up to their responsibilities. What do you think is going to happen? So the big thing is that men just don't see the example. Now, you take a man who comes from a home where there's a strong male role model, the man who is being accountable, the man who is being responsible, the man who has self-control. That man or those young men in that household, they're going to repeat that. Now, there will be competing distractions to pull that young male into a different direction than what he's seeing in his home. So it's up to the man in the home to be consistent, to be the man of strength, and to be the man that brings order, because men bring order to a home and women bring nurturing, and they beautify it. It's like Mother Nature and the father, right, of the universe. So if the man is out of order, the house is out of order, right? So that's just how that works. But one of the biggest reasons why we see it's hard to meet a good man is because men are struggling to connect with what a real true male identity is. Another reason why it's hard to meet a good man is because men fear. We don't want to open up. We don't want to let ourselves be vulnerable to show the love that we have, or if to have the love that we know is inside of us come out to a point where it's taken advantage of. Because let's just be honest, a good man is often seen as a nice guy, and I don't think that it should be that way, but that's what happens. So when females connect with a good guy or a good man, they've never been treated in such a way before that this good man treats them, and they take it for granted. And so as men, we fear putting ourselves out there like that. So that's another reason why it's hard for women to meet a good man. And the next thing, this is one of really the biggest reasons why it's a challenge, is because I've said this in so many conversations. Men don't compromise. Women compromise. Let me explain it to you this way. As men, and I'm talking to men and women in these videos and this content that I make, but as men, We'll have a list of 10 things that we're looking for in the woman that we're going to settle down with, the woman that will become our wife. We'll have a list of 10 things. We're going to get 7. We're shooting for 10, but we're going to get at least 7. We don't get 7, we're done. And this is something that happens in the mind subconsciously. Whereas with a woman will have a list of 10 things and she'll settle, she'll compromise, she'll get 3, right? He'll have a nice car, he'll be good looking, maybe he has money, maybe we go for a 4th, maybe he's good behind closed doors, but she'll settle. But she's far off from the 10. But women do that so much, they compromise and they don't take ownership of their value. And because they don't take ownership of their value, men just don't step up to the plate to treat them the way that they want to be treated, or the way that they deserve to be treated, if they're women of essence and women of substance. So those are just a few reasons why it's hard to find a good man, right? So the lack of examples, the fear that men have in opening up and being vulnerable. And lastly, it's just that women compromise in a way that men don't compromise. So they settle. Those are 3 of the biggest reasons that I see. What are your thoughts? Leave it in the comments. Why do you think it's hard in this day and age, and getting harder for women to meet and to connect with a good man? I'll be interested to hear what the comments are. Share it. What has been your experiences, man? What have been your experiences, women? Just let us know what you've experienced. But with that, I'm going to call this in the video. And because this channel is about personal finance, relationships, and mindset, I want to remind you to own your mind, own your money, and own the keys to the bank.